Funny.
Didn't miss that one.
Good evening and welcome to the December 17th, 2024 meeting of the McMinnville Water and Light Commission. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask the clerk to do a roll call, please.
Yes, Mayor Drapkin,
Here.
Commissioner Tankersley,
Here.
Commissioner Christensen.
Here. Thank you. Have you both had the opportunity to review the consent agenda, and do you either need anything pulled off for conversation or to recuse yourselves? Nope. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll
move.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Christensen and a second from Commissioner Tankersley. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say nay. And the consent agenda is passes unanimously. And have you had an opportunity to review accounts payable and purchasing reports? And are there questions?
I have a couple of quick questions. First, why is the Grant County wire transfer so low? Is it because VPA also pays them directly, or because that's all the power we get from them?
Grant County, why is it so low? Dollar amount?
It was like $80,000 or something.
It was 80,000 versus the normal fixed charge.
68, I'm sorry. So that's,
68.
so
That's the fixed
that's a fixed amount. Then we pay for the power we use as well.
We get secondary crediting service from EPA, which reconciles the difference between actual generation and our plan.
Okay. And we get more than $68,000 worth of power. Great. Okay, thanks. That was my concern. And then I had one more.
Yeah, do you want to come up here? Just so that way we get your answers in the recording as well, because valuable information. Do you mind recapping your answer for Commissioner Tankersley's last?
So the
Questions?
$68,000 to Grant County is the fixed amount every month. They estimate an annual output for the dams, and we pay the same amount every month through the year. And then that is reconciled to actual generation via the EPA secondary crediting service, which typically results in more power being generated. Could be a charge or a credit bill.
And for everybody in television land, this is Jamie Phillips, our Power Resource Manager.
Hello. That I am.
And the second question is, there was a check on November 27th, which I now understand you probably can't find, or it was a substantial check to Organic Valley. I assume that was a
Energy.
conservation thing.
Yes, they
Good.
did.
Good job. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
We'll now go to consultant and partner reports, and I'll welcome Jeff Towery, the city manager for City McMinnville, to give an update.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the commission. Thanks, Ed.
Just as I started to do it, it closed down on me. It's every time.
Awesome, great, thanks. Thanks again, everyone. So December and January, sort of a month of goodbyes and hellos. We're bidding farewell to Chief Matt Scales. We did a little thing for him at our last council meeting, made him cry. If you haven't watched it, go watch it, it's awesome. And then he cried more this weekend when the Packers did in fact beat the Seahawks. We'll be saying goodbye to Mayor Drapkin, to Council President Garvin, and Councilor Menke as well. We also will be welcoming our new mayor-elect, Kim Morris, Councilor-elect Don Tukowski, and Councilor-elect Scott Cunningham. We'll have a new police chief. He was introduced publicly at our last council meeting as well, Cord Wood, who comes to us with a long career in city and state law enforcement. He worked at the City of Independence and Corvallis, as well as Oregon State Police. And hopefully sometime early in the new year, we'll be introducing a new finance director as well. A couple of updates for you. We've installed our new biomedia filter. As Leland said, it looks like really high quality bark mulch. That's how we're going to be, along with some electrical and mechanical work, doing our new aerobic digestion in the facility. We use a variety of nutrients and heat to sanitize and eliminate pathogens, and it really creates a concentrated sludge that's a high quality agricultural fertilizer that's also used locally as well. We've got a couple of police department updates in addition to Chief Scales, who's been with us for over 31 years. Sergeant Josh Sheets is retiring at the end of December with 29 years of service. And so I want to wish both of them well in the next chapters of their lives. Also have recently deployed a surveillance trailer. It was used to ensure safety and security during the most recent election cycle at the request of Lake Yamhill County Clerk's Office. We're using it in a variety of places just to provide some additional surveillance. This trailer was purchased with the help of an Oregon Emergency Management grant that we received earlier this year. So no general fund obligations required to make this purchase. And so we hope that this will help increase safety in the community as well.
Where is it parked right now?
Right now, it's parked near City Hall at First and Cowles, just to take a look at some of the high-profile regular traffic we've seen along the street the last few months.
Thank you.
Couple of finance department updates. We recently received our certificate of achievement from the Government Finance Officers Association. I think this is 33 consecutive years that we've received a certificate of achievement in for excellence in financial reporting. So spans the course of at least 3 different finance directors who've been able to lead us to clean audits. Looking forward to submitting another audit here in the next few days for last fiscal year. We're also partnering between IS and finance to launch a new budgeting software that will work with our existing financial system, but also provide a lot more transparency and access to our data. It will take probably 6 to 18 months to fully implement, but we're hoping to at least have partial implementation done and create some custom reports during the course of the upcoming budget year. And ideally, the data will be live, so it will change every day as financial tractions in the system change. So we'll be looking to design some dashboards and serial reports that are available not just to our policymakers and staff, but to the public as well. We've also been working through a series of federal and state cybersecurity grants to continue to deploy tools to make our systems even safer. First phase of the grant will be wrapped up here in the next few months or so. Couple of library updates. We received a grant for $10,000 from the Oregon Community Foundation, the Latino Partnership Program for Latino Education Program. We're doing that in partnership with Mid-Valley Literacy Center and Chemeketa Community College. That starts at the beginning of the year. We're really going to focus on the earning potential of Latinos in the community. We've also been working on financial literacy for children, and we were recently recognized by the American Library Association and the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority as an award for financial literacy in the community. That'll be offered to teens and adults in both Spanish and English as well. We've got a number of partners that you see up on the screen here, and we're continuing to expand our library of things. We've got nearly 300 items in the library of things. that include power tools, but baking equipment, toys, and more. We've told you a couple of stories. My most recent favorite story, which I think is related to the library of things, although some people sort of dispute. Our city attorney, David Leitenberg, was having a tour of the library recently and met a patron who is a retired but still bar certified attorney who was interested in doing some volunteer work to support the legal program at the city. And so I joke that you can even find legal assistance at the library of things. I am happy to answer any questions about any of these items or any other city stuff that you'd like to talk about tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. More questions? Questions? All right, thank you very much for your time and enjoy the return of your daughter.
Yes, Paige is back from Italy, so we're very excited.
Oh, great.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. And we'll welcome Mr. Brent Keller to give us our forestry report from Mason Griffin Gerard.
Thank you, Mayor. Not a lot to report here. Kind of in between things, a little bit of a lull in the storm. It looks like our seedlings are going to get lifted any day now. I think it's just weather permitting. They've had enough cooling hours, and I think we're just waiting for it to dry out a little bit. And the cooler's ready to go up by the treatment plant there, so we'll be moving seedlings over real soon and probably start planting right after the first of the year on the 550 road number 3 sale unit and other interplanting areas. Of course, as far as 2024 stumpage sales go, we still have the 300-401 road sale, which is a 2-year contract, and that'll be harvested this coming summer. Boise will pay their second half payment, advance payment here in January. So that's what's going on with the 2024 sales, and then we've got the 2025 sales all planned out. We've started doing some cruising and layout on those. In total, it's about a little under 100 acres for both units and a little under 4 million feet total volume. So we'll get prospectuses out by January 17th, looking to open bids on February 12th, which is the Wednesday before the February commission meeting. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now,
Have a Merry Christmas. Thank
yes,
you.
happy holidays, happy New Year.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I will now welcome up our finance director, Mr. Mark Dunmeyer, to present the 23-24 financial audit report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the auditors were here at the last commission meeting, and they presented the audit in draft format at that time. It was missing the audit opinion and their signature, of course, with that. And they do a report on our minimum compliance with the minimum standards. That wasn't in there either. And we discussed at the meeting why that was the case. It has to do with the management representation letter. So in that letter, senior management asserts to the auditors that the financial statements, to the best of our knowledge, is complete and accurate and meeting accounting standards. And another key component of that is that we accept responsibility for those financial statements. And so the auditors need that to be able to issue their opinion. And like we discussed at the last meeting, historically, we have not done that until after the commission meeting. But we also discussed at the last meeting that to kind of avoid that situation like we were in last meeting, we could have the audit committee do the review of the financials as part of that process for any communication feedback, changes to the wording of the report, and the notes and some of the other things that we typically look at pretty closely. We could do that as part of the audit committee. And then if the audit committee were delegated by the commission to be able to basically give the green light to the staff to issue that letter, then when the audit comes to the commission in November, like we normally do, the audit would be issued with the audit opinion included. So then the commission would be accepting the audit in its final form. So, so this evening, two things to do or to consider. One would be the acceptance of the final audit, which had no changes between the what was reviewed last time, other than those missing components. And then also delegation to the audit committee to make any recommendations, and then ultimately, once those changes have been made and the audit committee is satisfied, to okay the senior management to do the management representation letter for the auditors. So that's what we brought to you this evening.
Okay, could we do these one at a time? And Mr. Justice, would you help us on the acceptance of the McMinnville Water and Light Audit Report for the year ending June 30th, 2024?
Yes, Madam Mayor. So we're looking for a motion to accept the Water and Light Audit Report for the year ending June 30th, 2024. What you're doing is you're putting in the record that you have in fact received it. The auditor's requirement is to deliver it to you. So this just places in the record you have received the final audit. That's all this is doing. So you're not approving the document, you're receiving it, you're accepting it.
And we do that by motion and vote.
Right.
I so move.
The motion from Commissioner Christensen.
Second.
And second from Commissioner Tankersley. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say nay. And the audit is accepted unanimously. The motion passes unanimously. And then for the second one, I'm not sure that we actually want to take action on this, or if you want to
Right.
bring this back in your January meeting. I think given the complete change, almost a complete
Yeah.
change of board, that should be really a decision for
Yes.
that board to make.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Do that.
great. Thank you so
Excellent.
much. Next, we'll look at the design contract for the facilities upgrade, and I would ask Chad Hudson, the purchasing manager, to join us. Good evening.
Yeah, so tonight is kind of a culmination of several year process, facility planning process, actually over 5+ years. Before the meeting, I was kind of going through some of the tasks that we've kind of knocked off as we've gone through this process, and we've done quite a bit. So we started with facility seismic assessments. EMG completed those in 2018, coordination with the city. We did some geotechnical investigations around the yard and the facility to make sure that if we did expand certain directions, that it is buildable. We did facility stormwater study. Back in 2019, we actually did a presentation to the commission at a staff facility study, if you will. Where we get up here and it was purely driven by the staff. Presented that. In 2022, we completed construction of the fuel station, which was a part of staff's facility plan. We presented in 2019. Fast forward another year, Soderstrom presented to the commission the campus facility master plan. And that kind of brings us to where we're at now. In May of this year, the commission authorized staff to solicit proposals to go out for RFPs for the design and construction services of an expansion and seismic retrofit or warehouse. In October, we came back to the commission and said, we've gone through that process. We've narrowed it down to the highest selected proposer, which is MW&L Architects. And the commission granted authorization to staff to go ahead and proceed with contract negotiations with MW&L. So over the last 2 months, we've been working hand in hand with MW&L, drafting a scope of services, going over the contract and putting a price proposal together, which we're presenting tonight. Negotiated contract that's presented to the commission is in your packet and includes the full scope of services and the price as well. Services include design services, obviously for design of the facilities, bid phase services for the construction contractor, construction phase services, and project closeout services. Been noted that we're gonna be relying on MWA quite extensively. This is out of our wheelhouse. We're not putting pipe in the ground, we're not putting wire in the air, so this is out of our comfort zone. And we feel very confident in the abilities of MWA, their qualifications. They did a really good, nice job in their proposal and in their interview process. So we did receive 5 proposals, backing up, and that was conveyed in the October meeting. We did go through an interview process with the 2 highest ranked proposers, and MWA came out on top. So we're looking to proceed with the contract for design services with MWA for phase 0.5 and phase 1 of the facility campus master plan. Phase 0.5 includes seismic upgrades to the warehouse, is in addition to a new transformer yard. Phase 1 would include expansion to the existing administration building, remodel and seismic upgrade to the admin building, and a new employee and customer parking lot with fencing and gates. I wanted to note, and I've brought this up before, a transformer yard actually moves from phase 1 to phase 0.5. And the remodel of the administration building moved from phase 2 to phase 1, just for transparency's sake. As you can read the scope of services, it's a good document. Also want to highlight one of the studies that will be included in the scope of services would be very early in the process. We would examine the potential to expand the warehouse to achieve the seismic upgrades that we're looking at. This is brought up by MWA as a potential for us by adding on to the existing building and tying it to adding a new one and tying to the existing. We may be able to look for the seismic upgrades we're looking at while expanding. So that's a study that we're actually going to look at. It's included in their scope of services. And we'll bring the results back to the commission, at which point in time the commission can either select to go that direction, expand the warehouse, or we can just do the retrofit itself. The scope currently calls just for the retrofit of the warehouse. It's not calling for an expansion. So if at such point the commission did decide, well, the expansion looks like a good option for us, makes financial sense, we would bring it back to the commission.
Chad, wasn't the expansion in one of the later phases, or didn't we talk about it?
Correct. Phase 3, actually.
Okay, so we were talking about expanding. It's just a question of when.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we're just trying to, if it economically makes sense to do so to achieve the upgrades
Right.
seismically while expanding, we just want to make sure we explore that option.
Reduce the cost.
Yeah,
as well.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then we've had previous conversations about Water and Light potentially acquiring some land from the city that's adjacent to the Water and Light property. And while I didn't hear any conversation about placing buildings there, I think it would mostly be for, dumping the spoils, et cetera, but how will that be taken into consideration with this to kind of leave space for that conversation to happen if there's a desire to pursue it?
There's enough space right now that the fence line borders, but what we're really looking for was a future expansion of the McMinnville substation. Because right now it's pretty much constrained to the footprint it has. And if the city moves out of that site, that would be an ideal spot to expand that substation and potentially put 230 kV at that yard. And that's one of the things, actually, we had a discussion with DPA about that Monday, and we're actually talking to them about doing some studies to see if it makes sense to put 230 in that yard right now. And we basically rebuild the line that goes from currently, the 230 we have now stops at Cascade Steel, taking that line and bringing it into McMinnville, because it's only about, I think it's either 11 or 13 spans to get 230 there. And then that would obviously increase the capacity within the city, because then we would take it from there, step it back down, step it to 115 for our local. We wouldn't have to change all the transformers, but it would give us a higher capacity, like instead of having currently the way the system is set up, that actually happens back at the Carlton substation back to the east of Carlton. And then that we were looking to also making a 230 loop within the system too, because we are essentially here at the end of the BPA system. And so that's why we're on that side.
Okay. Thank you. Additional questions?
Yeah, so, looking back, this commission has spent a lot of time with you on this. But then looking forward, the new commission, so in light of what the mayor was talking about last time, I guess my first question is, would there be a problem with the delay either in not getting the project going or in our relationship with MVA if we delay this for a month?
If we delayed it for a month, we may be okay. I can't really speak after that. I did forget to mention MWA architects. Many of them are joining us virtually. I meant to mention that earlier in the process. They may be able to speak to that a little bit more, like if we did start pushing it, kicking down the road.
Right.
Multiple months, what that would look like.
Let's let Mr. Oliver respond, if you don't mind.
Thanks for having us tonight. I mean, I think we were definitely looking forward to kicking the project off in the new year. I don't know if a month is going to change much. I think if it sort of in line with what Chad's saying, if it does keep rolling, then yeah, that will kind of be an issue because, you know, we are forecasting ahead in our work plan, you know, for the firm of having this project and being able to service you and assign people that are dedicated to the team. So, but as for a month at this point, I don't. If it makes more sense to you as a commission and the new incoming commission, then we want to support your direction.
Thank you. I have a follow-up, and I know Commissioner Christensen does too. Given that this work is tied in with the overarching work of the organization that's been laid out, what is your hesitancy with approving a contract at this time? I understand a process that's not set in that, you know, obviously that's why I suggested that gets moved, but this and its incorporation into the overall organizational plans and the investment to date, I don't quite see the reason for delaying this business.
Okay, I'm not sure I understood the question completely. I mean, I understood the part about why delay it, and I can respond to that, but there was something else in there about.
Well, I guess I was presuming you were going to suggest delaying the contract based on your question about if the contract wasn't signed this month. So maybe I was a little premature in responding, but my question is, why would we delay this business tonight since it is part of the overall organizational plan and there's so much investment? What's the cause for delaying the signing of the contract?
If we thought it was appropriate, and I'm not sure we do, but I think we should talk about it anyway. I would think that it would be that this is a long time. This is going to be a long-term project that the new commission is going to deal with, and that's why I preface it with we've done a lot of work already. But would you two think that it would be better for the new commission to look at this and kind of understand it better and then pass it next time? Or would you think it'd be better for us to hand it to them as how much is this $1.8 million contract that we've done? And I mean, I think there are arguments both ways, but I didn't think it was appropriate to even consider it. It was going to be a problem for either the project or the relationship with the architect. And so that's why.
Understood.
That's why.
Thank you for the clarification. Okay. Great.
I don't think we should delay on making the decision today. It's part of the work that we've been doing over the last 5 years. You clearly stated all of the things that we've been working on. The previous discussion regarding a policy change in how we do audits is not the same as this. This is a continuation of the work we've been doing. I think we've been expecting this, and I don't think it's something that we should delay. I appreciate Steve's comments. 30 days is a big deal. When you've got a team of people on the call waiting to do this, they've negotiated the contract. We should do our duty here and approve this contract tonight. That's how I feel about it.
Good, I'm comfortable with that as well.
That's fine.
Is there anything you wanted to add to the report, or MWA wants to add?
I'd just like to highlight, the contract delivery potential. The scope of service is right now is drafted around a CMGC contract delivery method. And I know Commissioner Tankersley voiced that he would like to have a recommendation for whoever our consultant is on that. MWA is recommending that as the contract delivery method. So they are here to answer any questions regarding CMGC if you would have any, but I wanted to bring that forth just because that was one thing that was noted in a prior meeting.
So I do have a question. Could you explain to us, since you're doing the construction management, I think from what Chad said, and since you're doing a set of plans and such, and since you're doing the value engineering as we go forward here when you do the plans, what's the advantage of the CMGC rather than the bidding process?
Sure. Yeah, so just to clarify, we aren't doing the construction management. That's going to be part of the CMGC. It's the CM portion of that. So the reason that this process would be considered versus a traditional design bid build, where the contractor and design bid build comes on after basically the project has been designed, is that this project has a number of pieces that are more complex than a traditional design bid build. One of the first ones is trying to remain operational during the whole construction process, especially when we have situations where we're doing additions to buildings and then having people move from one portion of the building to the next portion of the building, and trying to keep systems and especially technology available, and also availability to the public to provide support and for these types of meetings, as well as, bill pay and everything else that goes along with that. So it requires a level of kind of pre-planning and having the general contractor on board early in the process, so we can anticipate issues that might come up with it and how we can plan for it to create smooth transitions during construction, and also make sure that as people move into temporary spaces, they have all the support or the needs that they have for that. So that's one of them. The other one is also risk mitigation and cost control. So by having a GC on board early on, we can explore other alternative methods of construction or confirm availability of certain construction methods. We can look forward in terms of material procurement to help reduce any type of potential delays. We can work with them in exploring the existing buildings and having them be a part of the design team, essentially, when we propose different solutions for like seismic, especially for these projects, so that they can provide input and we don't have surprises later on. In a design bid build, we tried to do as much research and investigation as we can, but having the GC on board and providing that practical standpoint of how they're actually going to be building it helps reduce the exposure of the project to change orders and risks down the line. From cost control, we also have them on board in the design phases as well. So we're doing sort of continuous value engineering at key points in the project at the ends of our critical phases. We're also bringing on an independent cost estimator to help reconcile what they see from the GC's numbers to what they are seeing in the marketplace in general. So there's sort of that ability to then correct on during the design phases and be confident that when we get to the guaranteed maximum price, the GMP, that it's actually a realistic thing. The other thing is that the contractor can bring in their subs early on in the process to, again, assist in that pricing method as well. And in terms of like bidding the project, in terms of cost control, even though we have a CMGC on board from the initial phases, when we go to create the final GMP, the trades will still also be publicly bid during that process. So it's a way that we have all the assistance of the general contractor on earlier and getting them educated and into the process, but still have the opportunity of doing an open bid later. And we still have the off ramp actually in this whole CMGC process of going to a design build at the end of the project if we feel like we're not getting or actually anytime during the preliminary phases, if we feel like we're not getting the correct feedback from the CMGC at that point too. So there is a bit of a fallback position as well.
And what would we, or should we expect the cost of a general contractor in the beginning phases when they're working with you to design it before they actually bid the project? What do you think that'll cost us?
So that will be, we'll put it out with an RFP for bids, and Brian Knight, who's the structural engineer who has lots of recent experience with CMGCs. So Brian, what are you seeing in terms of like fees for pre-con services of this type?
Yeah, the CMGC, their pre-con, Steve touched on a few of those, but they would be helping, they'd be sitting at the table with us during the design phase and the value engineering, the costing, identifying long lead items that might need to be procured before construction starts. So they're pretty integrated into the design team before they bid the project at the end and develop the GMP.
I'm sorry, my question was, what will they charge us for that? I'm trying to figure out what the total design charges will be. You have your 1.8 million, then what's the other part of it?
Yeah, so I'm sorry. So the CMGC, they would charge a fee for their CMGC services, and that ranges anywhere from 3 to 5%. On a larger project, like the relatively larger project, they would be at the lower end of that range. And so that would be the fee that they charge on the GMP, but their pre-construction services, so before they bid the project and do the GMP development, that would be on an hourly basis. And we would negotiate that with the CMGC before the Water and Light signs a contract with them, because we can define a scope for them, and we can get a cost estimate as far as what their fee would be during pre-construction.
I'm sorry, I know that you can't commit to what the contractor will charge, but you have quite a bit of experience in this, right? Together?
Yes, sir.
So what should we expect that we'll be paying the contractor? You're not signing a contract for them, but are we talking about $10 million or $1 million?
So for pre-construction,
yes,
for pre-construction, for a project of this size, I would think it would be, somewhere in the $100,000 range.
Okay.
And a lot of that depends upon the length of the pre-construction time, how many meetings they're attending, how much field investigation we have them do as far as cutting holes and doing.
Oh, thank you. That's a number that I'm comfortable with. I just had no idea what we were talking about.
Yeah, no, sorry. Sorry, you had to ask me the question 4 times before.
No, I didn't ask it that well, so that's fine. Thank you.
There's only 3, Brian.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? then, Mr. Justice, do you want to set us up for this as well, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor. So we'd be seeking a motion to approve to award enter a contract with the highest ranked proposer, MW&L Architects, for a maximum price of $1,843,503 to design, provide construction services for the office expansion, remodel, and warehouse seismic retrofit project, RFP 202400178, with authority for the mayor and the clerk to sign.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Christensen and a second from Commissioner Tankersley. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed, say nay. And the motion passes unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you
sharing
for
the
doing
information
this.
with
Thank you for
us.
joining us.
Thank you.
And now we will welcome back Jamie Phillips, our Power Resource Manager, to talk about selling surplus clean fuel credits.
Thank you.
Money back.
Okay. So, as you're probably aware, McMinnville Water and Light has been registered with the state Department of Environmental Quality's Clean Fuels Program since 2019. The program's main goal is to reduce the average carbon intensity of transportation fuels in the state by regulating producers and importers of gasoline and diesel products. As an electric utility, McMinnville is a credit generator. We're not a regulated party. We're not obligated to comply, but we realize credits from the electricity used to charge electric vehicles in our service territory. And so these credits then have a value that we can monetize by selling to counterparties that have an obligation. And on a semi-annual basis, the state deposits or calculates the clean fuel credits that we are generating based on the number of electric vehicles registered in our service territory and a calculated carbon intensity that is for the electricity in our area. And then those clean fuel credits are deposited in our account and become property of McMinnville Water and Light that we are then free to market and sell. This evening, I'm here seeking a declaration by the commission to surplus 1,012 clean fuel credits that were awarded by DEQ for the first half of calendar year 2024. That represents about 600 electric vehicles that we have registered in our service territory. And to also redeclare 1,864 clean fuel credits from prior years that we still have banked in our account. And authorize the general manager to approve a sale of these same clean fuel credits pursuant to our public contracting policy. And Power Resource Manager, Mayor, and Clerk to sign as necessary.
Great. Thank you so much. Since that was so specific, are you comfortable with me? Call for a motion?
I actually have a resolution for this.
Well, any discussion then, I guess, before the resolution?
I have a quick information question. I remember I don't know if it was this program or a similar program where the state required us to offer them first through them or something before we went to the market. Was that this program?
That's this program. It's not a requirement, it's an option.
Oh,
They have
okay.
what they call a credit clearance market, which is sort of a you obligate or you offer your credits to this defined market for a specific period of time. And you may sell them that way. You can decline a sale, but they're tied up in that market. It's usually about 60 days.
Okay.
That's not something we have to do. We have done it in the past. We can also offer them for sale outside of that clearance
Because they
market.
have a price they set in that market, right?
They have a minimum.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
and staff will decide which way is best when you do this.
We will.
Okay. Thank you.
And is the conversion rate always about 2 to 1? You said it represents
Mm.
about 600 vehicles and there's just over
Um,
1,000 in fuel credits.
That, well, there's a few factors that determine the number of credits, so it's not a direct 2 to 1. That may just be coincidental, but it's the number of vehicles, calculated carbon intensity of the electricity that is used. And that can be specific to the region or the electric utility. We use pretty much all hydropower.
97%.
So the carbon intensity of that
Very low.
electricity is much lower than, say, a utility using coal, gas. Or,
PG.
yeah, right. So there are some variables there, so it's not a
Yeah.
direct
Okay,
correlation, but
thank you.
that is nice and
Yeah, well, it's not quite hemp, but you know,
incidental.
it's close.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Justice, will you help us with the resolution?
Certainly. This is resolution number 2024-27, a resolution by the City of McMinnville acting by and through its Water and Light Commission declaring clean fuel credits surplus and authorizing and delegating the general manager authority to sell these same clean fuel credits. That's 2024-27.
Thank you, and I'd ask the clerk to poll the commission, please.
So,
Oh, go ahead, do I have a motion?
I'll move,
Sorry.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Tankersley and a second from Commissioner Christensen. And now I would ask the clerk to poll the commission, please.
Yes, Mayor Dropkin,
Aye.
Commissioner Tankersley,
aye.
Commissioner Christensen.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted unanimously. And thank you very much. Appreciate it. General manager comments this evening.
So I have a couple. One is we had a gate damaged in the watershed. Somebody pulled the post, so gate M11, which is up close to McGuire, so we're gonna get that fixed as soon as possible.
So they didn't run into it, they
They
actually.
pulled the post out of it. It's
You get
what's a gate one
access?
side. Well, yeah, because it comes from BLM side and that's public access. So they can get up to it. So that's one item. And then the other is we're we're down about 12 feet in McGuire and we are just under 4 feet from spilling now. So we've gained over 8 feet in the reservoir. So we'll probably be spilling by the first of the year. So, and with this storm, it could be sooner. So
Yeah.
So we're doing very well on that.
And that's when the water slide works, right?
Yeah, that's when the water slide.
That's the most fun.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. I love it.
Yeah. It's secret slide.
You want to go tomorrow?
I'm gonna wait till it warms up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
that was it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any commissioner comments? All right, and have commissioners had an opportunity to review the financial information? Oh,
Questions?
no questions? No questions? All right, thank you. We are going to go into executive session. We will close the regular commission meet.
We're not.
Oh, we're not doing
No,
this?
no executive.
No, we're not gonna go, okay. Pardon, the meeting is adjourned at 5:47 PM.
Whoa.
Wow,
Hey.
that's a record.
Thank you.
Fantastic.